Welcome in, everybody. My name is Mitch, and welcome back to another video on Jamie's YouTube channel. And I'm not riding solo today. The big dog Matty T is with me, by popular demand, may I add. Matty, how you going, brother?
Yeah, not too bad, man. It's nice that one person was like, "Where's Matty T?" last week. So shout out to that one person. Popular demand is right.
And just let me get it off on the rip. I think Jamie, there's a chance he might be popping in. He wanted the invite link to the Zoom call. He wanted to potentially make an appearance. I think to complain about his team. I'm not too sure. That's not my job. I'll let him do that. So if he pops in, you know, guess I get to say hi to the big man. But mate, round 14, we're recording this about 10 minutes after the Bulldogs versus Parramatta game. Jacob Carraz, again, why I wish I just held him. I mean, if we knew he was going to be like 2 weeks, I probably would have held him. Mate, round 14's over. I scored a 1,025, which I'm actually pretty happy with, considering I don't own a Canberra winger, which we definitely will get into. How about you, mate?
Oh, mate, pretty bloody rough week for me. I scored 964, which I'm just looking at yet another fantasy, and the average was 1,022. So like 60 points down on average is pretty rough. But look, I've come on this week because everyone, like when I'm watching other people do content, I like when someone's had a bad week and you get to like look at them and be like, look at their bad week, and it makes you feel better about your week. So you're welcome, everyone out there who's done better than me. You can come on and feel a bit better about your team.
Yeah, you actually didn't have that bad of a week, to be fair. Like 960, I guess it really comes down to if you had Tamale. A few people had Nico. A few people probably would have had to play Iongi. 964, you'll probably take that. You didn't end up trading, did you? Or you brought in Campbell, which we will get into. How annoying is that? Don't even get me started on the person who I traded to get to Campbell. Uh, but yeah, mate, who did you end up trading?
So I did Savala out to Campbell, which, didn't really work that well. I basically I started the week with that Burbo Tavanga loop, and we were chatting about it beforehand, and you were like, "Oh, you need to chuck Burbo in the loop," but and I had the two roosters, so just in case, both went really big, I didn't need to trade then, and didn't wouldn't have brought in Campbell, but Berber got moved to the centres about 3 minutes into the game, which I'm sure Damien Cook buyers could sympathise with me with this one. Pretty brutal. So he stayed out in the centres and got like no points. But annoyingly, even more annoyingly, I put him in the five and put Tavanga in the six because Tavanga was apparently coming in with a rib complaint, and I didn't listen to your advice on this one, and I put Burbo at five, and then because Tavanga did well and Burbo didn't do well, I couldn't take just Tavanga's score without trading in a mid or a hook or like doing something crazy like that, and it wasn't a big enough score to really worry about that. So it meant that I had to go the Tamale Hubner route, and yeah, look, Hubner did all right, 45. I'll take that. But yeah, Tamale pretty brutal with the one pointer. Besides that, it's just Campbell going low, really. I think the rest of the team is pretty good, and I think the structure of the team looks good. Like bringing in Campbell now, having Katoa back from his bye is good. Um, yeah, so I'm pretty set going forward, but just this week was a bit of a rough one. I went from 1,700 out to 2,600, so I lost about close to 1,000 ranks, which isn't what you want, but oh well, we move.
I remember it was Thursday night. It was about an hour before the game and the week started. And I remember you sent me a message and you said, "How is this loop pretty sweet?" And I'm looking at it. I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." I remember I was at my local kebab shop getting a snack pack, getting ready to enjoy the footy. And I'm looking and I took it. It was like 5 minutes later, and I had to look at it again. And you had Burbo sitting in the centers. And I'm like, "Whoa, just whoa, like no, 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 loop Burbo." And fix that up, and you're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah," and I was like, "Thank God I saved you." Then I realized you didn't actually get to take the big bald eagle Jazz Savanga himself. Yeah, he still had a pretty fine week. I kind of came down to, Herbie as well. Like you had Fletcher Sharp, who I don't own, and we'll get into that and why I guess my team's just so rubbish. Even if I'm not copping at someone dislocating their kneecap, I still can't have any really crazy weeks. But yeah, it's probably just the Herbie to the Garrick, Herbie to the JC kind of thing, and that's where all these big scores are. I've been seeing a lot of people who had Tamales one pointer and they still scored pretty much the exact same as me, if not more. And that kind of leads into me and my week, not owning Fletcher Sharp. It sucked 2 weeks ago. It was good last week, and just watching him on Thursday night. Even though I have Kalen Ponga, he does update to 47 in the NRL app, which I'm really, really happy with. But yeah, no Fletcher, no Ponga, and I'll walk away with a 1,025, which you can't be too sad about. I did make some trades, and I am fairly happy with the trades that I did make. It is kind of annoying that the guy I traded out did really, really well in Tom Jenkins. Mason McLean hasn't been able to pass the ball for like 12 years, and now all of a sudden Tom Jenkins scores like a 96. Long
They were just cutting
term,
him out. They were
I
cutting him out
oh
like
I know
basically.
it wasn't too frustrating because I thought, well, if I didn't make the trade, like I wouldn't have played Jenkins anyway. Like I think he would have been as far down in my slot, so I would have got the price rise, but the score I don't think I could have got potentially. But again, like trading Jenkins to Campbell, you can kind of laugh at it now, but I think long term it was the right move. Campbell back to halfback, like hindsight's a pretty crazy thing. So long term that will work out. Katonga obviously just played. I looked at his score. He scored 35 before updates and anything like that with 8 missed tackles. So I'm very happy. I mean, not to the people who own Katonga still, but I'm very happy that I traded him out and he didn't just have a random useless 50. He had 8 missed tackles, and that's kind of why I made the trade to Lawson. That score technically didn't really work out as well, but I'm quite confident he still plays next week, which is why I made the trade just to free up some cash. And then Savala, I took the punt on him getting dropped for Sam Walker next week. And Couchman, the GOAT, his team got pumped by 50, 60 or something. And yeah, he's still come away with a mid 50s. So I'll happily take that. And that leaves, yeah, my team with a 1,025. I didn't really have any crazy, crazy low scorers, and I had a few point of difference players. Obviously, I had KPP in that first game of the week to kind of counteract people with Fletcher Sharp. The Friday night watching Herbie score a try in the last maybe 2 seconds of the game. I think I woke up the whole street with the language that I used because I was pretty filthy that Herbie scored a keep scoring tries. That's awesome when you don't own, and especially when he scores the most useless try in the world in the last second of the game, mate. What did you think about that?
Yeah, it was pretty brutal as a non-Herbie owner. I know you hate that I say this, but I have him in Supercoach, so I like to hedge emotionally for these big players that I don't own in fantasy. So it burns, but it doesn't burn as much as if I didn't own them at all. But yeah, definitely pretty rough. I was just looking at Sam Walker because I just noticed that I just wanted to make sure he got through the game all right for the so that because we both sold Zavala and it looks like he played pretty well. He played the first 40 minutes and they end up losing to Parramatta. So interesting that he only played the first 40 minutes and they end up losing the game by 8 points. So I'm assuming it was just a planned thing where they just want to play him 40, but they didn't bring him back on. But apparently he looks pretty good and it now is a big dilemma on the weekend. So we could actually even see Sam Walker potentially in a bench role, coming off after the the brutality of the first 20 minutes or something. Maybe he comes on for the last 60 or something, and Savala, he's a big body, so he could switch around to lock or something like that. So it'd be interesting to see what they decide to do there.
Yeah, I think people who held are kind of hoping for the best. I think people who sold probably aren't too crazy upset because you're probably in a situation like you or me where we kind of we used his awkward amount of cash, even with the low break even, but we used his amount of cash to get some big dogs in, like, JC, tough week, but he's the best fullback in the game. An elite option, not just a keeper or a cut price, like he's an elite option. Couchman with the duel, probably second or third best edge behind Keon and your Prestons and Hudson Young, if he's even in the app. I don't even know if he's in the app, to be honest. So, but no, I'm really happy with my week. Cam McInnes, my favorite player to own, maybe my second favorite player to own behind Carraz. God, I want to get that man in. How did he even get to just 70 just then as well? Like, don't even get me started on that. And then Britt Nikora. I should have took your bet for everybody watching at home. Matty Thompson tried to. I didn't want to steal his money. he said something along the lines of who averages more over the next 5 weeks, Britton Nikora and Ben Burbo Travojevic. And I thought, mate, it's like stealing candy from a baby. I thought, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to ignore his message. And yeah, he walks away with a 40. It's not great, but it's nearly a meme at this point. He's going to score big soon. He plays the Dragons next week, so I'm praying to God that he scores a couple of tries because I'm waiting. I'm waiting. But yeah, I'd probably into our next talking point, mate, and that's Savelio Tamale. What was going on in your head when he went down? What did you think? How did you react? Because I know how I reacted. Maybe I'll let you go first.
Look, it's one of those things, isn't it, where you just know it's crushed your fantasy week, and you're just like, well, my round is over, and you just end up like kind of uh, disconnecting a little bit from the game and the rest of the result. So yeah, I don't know. Took a little bit to get over, and probably still one of those things where it's just like until it's like you just want it to be next week already, because when you get one of those one pointers that costs you the round, you just want to move on like to the next round. So I'm sure Jamie would probably feel the same, but I know you felt a little bit better about the situation on your end. How did you react to it?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy when things like this happen. And again, like we're not those type of people, and they're horrible people who kind of pray for people to get injured. It's an unfortunate thing, and it's the luck kind of aspect in fantasy. When people say like, "Oh, hopefully this guy tears a hamstring or whatever," like some people can get pretty fired up about it, and rightfully so. It's not really the nicest thing, but when he went down, I thought, "Oh, that kind of means I should have a good week." Realistically, like I had a fine week, but apparently I thought I was going to launch. Straight away, we have a group chat with Jamie, and I wasn't going to say anything in there because I hate when people, you know, say things to me in regards to when I get unlucky or kind of rub it in. So I was going to message you, and I thought, no, you know what? Like I better check if you actually own him or you played him. And I seen him in your bench. I thought, you know what? I'll delete my message. I won't say anything because I'm not a dog. It's a horrible thing. But yeah, luckily for the people who do own and played, he was owned by about 50% of the top 100, 50% of the top 1,000. I think 50% of the top 5,000 or something. So at least it wasn't a pod. It's not like Britt Nickera in my kind of side. If he went down with a one, that kind of only affects me. Whereas at least you're in a big boat with quite a lot of people. And like I said before a few times, people who had Tamale still scored more than me. Fletcher Sharp and Herbie, and Tamale still beat me in like most scenarios. So it goes to show that it's not the end of the world. And if you lose 600 ranks, it's not the end of the world. And what do we have here? Crashing the party. It's his channel, but he can't
The
let us
boss is
go.
in.
He can't let us go 5 minutes without getting a word in. How you going, Jamie? What's up, brother?
Hi everyone, my name's Mitch. I'm here with my best mate, Matty T. I love Cam McInnes, and I'm still trying to work out why Ben Hunt dropped the ball in 2015. Up the cows!
Oh, stop it. You actually joined at quite a good time with us going over Savelio Tamale,
No.
and I kind of said like I wasn't going to say anything about Jamie because he wanted to have a word about his players, mate. Run me through this 1 point. We're going to ignore the score. We're going to ignore the Parramatta fullback that you've got because that's for your video. I'm not gonna crash your party. Tell us about
Good.
Tamale, mate.
Well, you bring in Aitken and he rolls out a lovely 60. He's killing it. And then the guy, we talk about those guys that we can hold all year, and Tamale was going to be that boy, and that's what made it, the most sad for me. So we'll leave it there. We'll get my rants tomorrow.
No, that's a good place to end it, mate. On Savelio Tamale. Just going over our next topic here with round 15. Obviously, the next major buy round. I have made 3 trades this week leading into round 15, and I have a full 13 right now. It's not the greatest 13. I've got a few battlers. I've got a couple of soldiers who are going to do a job. I'm going to have a word with a few of them. King Togia, Lawson, mate. These guys are going to go on, score me a 35, and I'm going to accept it. Matty, what about you, mate? Heading into round 15, will you need to make any trades to field a full 13? Where's your squad at?
So I don't believe I will need to make any trades. It's one of those things that until like you wish it just turned over to next week so you could just see your team arrange it like because normally by the time we do these videos we've already got our team sorted for next week. So because of all the duels, it's a little bit complicated. Like I could play certain players in certain positions and make trades in certain positions, or I could not. So for example, right now I've got full squad, but I've got King Togia in my 13. Whereas what I'm probably going to do is bring in a center or a wing fullback, likely a center to replace Tamale, and then that way I can play Campbell in the halves and move some things around. So yeah, I've got plenty of duels, so it helps with the flexibility. Having a look at the trades situation overall, there's 9.8 trades left for the top 1,000 teams. So I was down at 10 trades 2 weeks ago. And the last 2 weeks I've only spent one trade, so that's pretty good. I'm now at 9 trades, so I'm not too far from the average. I see you're at 10 trades, mate.
Yeah, I'm at 10. I had a bit of fun. I actually wanted to slam four trades, to be honest. Monday afternoon after the lockout lifted. At one point I had Matt Burton in my side. At another point I had Jerome Hughes in my side. I've had Jerome Hughes in my side for about 6 weeks, to be honest. And yet I've never went through with it. And how about the big dog himself? Where is he? He's probably that low now on the leaderboard with all of his bad players in his team. Jamie, mate, how many players do you have heading into round 15?
Well, mate, I wanted to comment on yours. I reckon you're just banking on the Dragons absolutely smashing the Sharks after what we're seeing from them, right? Lawson and King Tonga for 50s this week, right?
Well, I can't wait. I think Thursday I'm going to the movies with my girlfriend, which she picked a bad day to do it because I have Cam McInnes, Britton Nickera, Lawson, King Togia, and Couchman. I have five absolute killers ready to go on Thursday night. Nathan Lawson, he's popping off. He's scoring a try. Cam McInnes is making 60 tackles. Britton Nickera is scoring two tries. I am so excited. And yeah, it's about time I launch. I've actually had a pretty good week this week, to be honest. I know we're backtracking. I'm climbing up the ranks. 2,100. I'm coming. I promise. Let me say it now. I'm not finishing the lowest out of us three. I might even finish the highest. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, mate.
I'm not going to get rowdy. I could.
You've
Hey,
overtaken me, and now you're
yeah.
about to overtake Jamie as well.
Mm.
Well, two
I,
weeks ago, I did mention that, maybe we should put a little wager on it. And there wasn't a lot of takers in this group when I was ahead of yous. And, yeah, I'm lucky at the moment that I haven't taken that. But in terms of my side, I think I'm pretty similar to Maddie. I have the 13, but likely to make an upgrade to get a better 13, especially after a bit of a low week. And it was a bit of a, like, getting set up for the next few for me. So, yeah, I'll probably just make the one trade and roll with that, and we'll you can wait till that other guy that comes on the channel and talks by himself sometimes. He goes, all right, you should check his videos out, guys. You'll see that tomorrow morning. Hopefully, we get a decent lockout lift, eh? And we're not waiting until the afternoon. But I will say, fantasy been pretty good this year with lockouts. We've beaten Supercoach for a lot of them.
Yeah, well, I know. I'm pretty sure you will be able to make an upgrade or two because I'm pretty sure you sold a Payne Haas or something. I think I'm the only one with Payne Haas now, and yeah, you boys are very brave for doing that. He did only score like a 60 odd, but he was ready to explode. There were so many times when he just didn't get the ball, and he was right there. And anytime he would have got the ball, he would have thrown an offload. He would have went crazy. So you boys definitely got lucky with that one. I mean, going to JC kind of sucks, but at least we all did it this week. At least we all jumped on JC. So again, when I'm normally comparing players and I'm doing, I'm watching players, I normally use us three as a basis on what's going on. So, one of us brought in Aiken, so I was death riding him a little bit. We all have JC, so at that point, like it's kind of irrelevant to me what he scores because I'm like, well, I know us, we all have JC, so it's fine. Whereas Payne Haas, the start of the year when I didn't own him, it was very frustrating. We all didn't own. And then when we all jumped on, I was like, okay, everyone's kind of got him. And then this week I was watching Payne a little bit more because I'm like, just please, like I'm out of us three, I'm the only one who's got him. At least we
What are you
know
gonna
that
do with him?
I'm gonna hold. He's
Okay.
only gonna lose about 30K, so he's gonna go down to 900 odd. I think he might back up in round 16. I
Yeah.
know the Penrith boys said that, they won't be backing up. And I'm kind of, he's not in my plans. Like in my round 16 team, which we'll get into quite soon. Like I need a center personally I only have the two centers now and Garrick's not on a buy. No, he's on a buy, sorry. So I need a
Mm.
center and I'm not counting on Payne has to actually
Herbie,
play.
Herbie,
No,
Herbie,
mate,
Herbie.
please. this is the man. This is the man who's going to solve
Oh,
all my problems.
Surely not.
No,
the
no, no.
Origin man.
The
No,
Origin
Jack
star.
Howarth. I need a center for round 18, and I'm not buying suboptimal. I'm not buying suboptimal buy cover players. I'm
Are
buying
you
Jack
sure?
Howarth because he's going to be a
Hold on,
weapon.
hold on. Question.
Yeah,
You're
hit
not going
me.
to buy suboptimal buy players. Who's that guy over on the interchange number
Hey,
three
hey,
there?
yeah, Brit and Nickra. Hey, when I have
Oh, previous
Brit.
keeper, Britain,
Yeah, we need to. What is with that too? Previous keepers. I've been
ex keeper.
so keen on Jerome Hughes at 530, 540. Then he goes and pops out an 86 or whatever the number is. Now he's going to make 40K, and now he's a mad buy. I'm waiting for Nickera to do that. I'm even watching highlights of when he's been scoring tries. Why are the Sharks just not giving him any ball? Like he does, he's not scoring any tries. See, that's the difference, right? Britton Nickera, he scores a try, that's a 55. But no, Jack Howarth is my option. I think because I think around 18 center, like many of us. I think Lawson's my only one, Garrick and the wing fullbacks. And round 16, I'm gonna need a center. I've got 120K in
Yeah,
the
a lot of them.
bank. And I'm thinking, what do I don't need to trade next week. I'm gonna roll with the 13 I have. Obviously news of Burton probably 18th man. So if he is 18th man, then he's not an option for us fantasy players. Um, so I don't need to trade next week. I can go in, hold my trades, and then rounds 16, I'll have 10 remaining. So maybe that'll be a little bit luxury back then in a few weeks having 10 trades. So I'm looking at Howarth, who'll be about 410K, and I'm thinking no one's going to own him. It's right. It's something exactly that I want to do. And he could be the option. There's also, there's some other suboptimal players that don't play round 18. And it's a pretty good question on where you're at now, especially with Tamale, round 16, you have Herbie Jamie, but Maddie, you don't. I think you need a center as well?
Yeah, so I've got Lucas. Sorry, I'll just have Lucas because I've got Burbo and Garrick on the bye that week. So it's a little bit dicey. Like I wanted to look at Carraz to be honest, especially after just pumping out 70 points with no try assist. But he will be on a bye in round 16, so it's quite difficult that like I could get Herbie, but then Herbie's on a bye in round 18 where I also need a center. So it's a bit tricky. Like I could go for a Lawson, but even Lawson's on a buy in 16. So there's no great options that play 16 and 18 that I've looked at, I don't think. I think I might just need to choose one or the other. Unless I go with your mate Jack Howarth.
Yeah, something that I kept pretty close because I had Cookie messaging me about it, and he's like, "Oh, what are you going to do?" I said, "Oh, I don't normally tell people what I'm going to do because it's normally pretty rubbish. Don't listen to me." I said, "Oh, Jack Howarth," and even he's like, "Dust, what are you doing, you absolute idiot?" I said, "Yeah, fair enough, Cookie. Thanks, mate." But no, I'm being a center down. I have thought about just playing short in 18. Like I could probably potentially go a Herbie or go a. I was looking at Kale Ero as well. He was in my side for like 5 minutes at the start of the week, so luckily I didn't go down that route. But yeah, there is an option to just play short in 18. Like I'm not, like it's not out of the question. I don't really want to blow my team up too much just to build a number in 18. So if I choose to do that and nothing pops up, then maybe I just go a different direction in 16 and go a different keeper, with this 120K in the bank. I think Jamie's just sitting down there with Herbie, who's just absolute such a rubbish not to own. You won't have that problem, mate. How's your round 16 team looking into the future?
Yeah, just a quick little point for you is on 18. So you got Carraz, he'll be clear number one for the centers, and then you've got Purdue for holders. Your boy Howarth. You don't really want any of the Raiders guys, the Broncos guys. Yeah, Katoni had a good one, but that's not normal for him. You got Nawa for Roosters, Tigers. We're going back to the stuff at Tolwell, and then you've got Garrick as the big one there for Manly, and then you could take a punt on like a Campbell Graham or something, but not super ideal there for the Bunnies. So really, yeah, Carraz probably in round 17, 18 becomes pretty important. Really, is that upside guy for 18? I'd say, but yeah, how many trades are people going to have by that point? Eh,
The only thing is
16, I'll be fine though
he's just so
in general.
expensive. Like he's just like he's going to go up another 18K. He's going to be close to 740. So yeah, 17
Yeah.
could be a play. Do you want to pay that much? Like I was quite happy to buy him at 636. The Anzac Good Friday Anzac Day. which is just an outstanding trade, by the way. Like, let's not, run past that. How good was that of me? But at this price, like, I think it's pretty hard. Like, I don't think I could buy him at this price. I mean, he did just throw 8 offloads, but even I don't even think he's ever thrown that many in a game. That's definitely an outlier. Like, he does love to throw an offload, but a 70 without a try is pretty insane. So there's definitely an option to play short. Like, I'm not, like a lot of people this week, a bit unlucky kind of, but they went the Damien Cook route. I'm not saying that's a bad trade, but he's just come up with a 30. If I was to bring in like a Campbell Graham, a Jack Howarth for a 27, like is it really worth it? So
The issue with playing short though is you're basically like I think if you're playing short, you're just giving up on being in the like top few hundred. Like the the ranks are so close and
Yeah.
there's so like minimal edge in the weeks outside of the bye rounds. Like a lot of us have similar players and we've got like maybe I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 players that are different to I might have 7 or 8 players different to you or Jamie. And usually the variance isn't more than about 100 points in a week for most weeks, and sometimes it's like even less than that in terms of the swings. This week there was some big swings with the Tamale and stuff like that, and weeks where there's injuries there will be big swings or like really big captains swings, but for the most part there's not a whole lot of swings. So I feel like if you do commit to going short, you're right. You could just miss out on 27 points, and then it's really kind of irrelevant because you pick up an extra 10 points either side of that, and you've basically covered it. But I don't know. I feel like if you want to go guns a blazing, if you want to like commit to trying to being in that top 500 or less, then you kind of need to stack a full squad. What do you think, Jamie, on that?
Yeah, I think you've got to, but if you're gonna go for the mid-range guy, you'd probably want them to be like, oh, close to 400 if you're going to go for like a swing bit of a pod play type of thing. Otherwise, I think you just try and buy Carraz, really, because just think about like round 18, 19, if people are pumping through trades, like we already saw one person go to zero, we see a few on one, they'll be done in the next few weeks and we'll be flying past all those teams come those weeks if you're able to get, someone like Carraz or to have Garrick and these types of guys that can go 50 plus. That's so important for you in those weeks. So, and as you said, you're just giving away that 40, 50, and everyone's going to be have the full amount the next week, and then we're 17 and pretty easy to field sides for the rest of the year. So that's just your one opportunity to be ahead of a couple of those teams, I think.
yeah, that's a really good point as well. Is when you talk about strategy and discussion. I don't know. I just think that extra trade, like I don't
That's
mind
the
Jack
thing.
Howarth. I don't mind Jack Howarth personally as an option, but if I was to go, like it's kind of hard. Like you got Carraz, who you're not gonna that trade is worth it. But if you're looking
Yeah.
at like it comes back to kind of it's always opinion based without having the stats in front of us or the numbers, but suboptimal buy coverage. Now is Jack Howarth that as a prime example who I'm just toying with? Maybe potentially, but if I'm keen on taking that risk, then I will. But if I look at another guy who's not Carraz, that I'm just like a Katoni Stags or whatever to try to get that 40 points or how much you'll score in that game. Let's just say it was 40. What is that worth in the back end, right? Like, let's say next week I save
Yeah.
trades.
Agreed.
I have 10. The week after, let's say I need a center. So for that round, I can't get Carraz because he doesn't play 16.
Mhm.
So I'd need to go, okay, who plays 16, but then also 18? I can hope that a cash out comes out. Lawson doesn't play, which I already own. So let's just say I go Katoni Stags because that's just an option that's not Jack Howarth. And I go, okay, I'm using a trade because I need a center. And then I'm looking at round, he plays round 18, but then come round like 20, I've got 460 odd K, whatever he is, I don't know, sitting in my 18, which is as cover or I'm not, it's not really doing anything, right? Whereas, if I went a gun keeper, is there potential for that to, actually do something in my side? It makes for good discussion, and that's
Mm.
why we've got me and Matty T, and then someone just crashing the party and Jamie.
Okay.
Um,
I'll jump off after this and let you finish. But I reckon if you're down at sort of like that three, like 2-3, 1-2-3 type of trades by round 18, then you'd leave it 100%.
yeah,
If you're up a bit higher, like 5, 6, 7, then you want that 13 for sure. It's probably where I'd leave it.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
I think it'll be easy to
round
get
19's
13.
tough.
Oh, round
Thank
19.
you.
Oh, the big dog's
Thank you,
signing out.
beautiful people.
All
Keep
You'll
right.
see
going. I'll
you'll
be watching the
Cheers,
rest of it
boss.
tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoyed. See ya.
you'll see him in one of his other 1,000 videos that he uploads. The man of many people, what a weapon. But yeah, I spent like I was saying before I was rudely interrupted. That was a joke. It's pretty easy to field 13, right? Like 16 is pretty niche. You know, a lot of people have Lucas and Herbie. Pretty much everybody have Herbie Farnworth except us. So, you know, you have Burbo and Garrick. So it's a bit of an even more niche situation for you. So a lot of people won't be in the situation of needing a center. I just kind of suggested, I didn't even suggest it. I guess being on the video, I've kind of given my thoughts and opinions. It may not be great, may not be good. But Jack Howell, for me personally, I'm kind of looking at just to fill the gap that I kind of need. Um, but yeah, that probably will be where we leave it. Obviously, you know, Origin teams are being announced. They have been announced. The Queensland side's been announced. The New South Wales side hasn't just yet that I have seen while recording, although I'm 100% confident it's going to be the exact same side. Instead of Mitch Barnett, it should just be Stefano. Matty, what do you think?
Uh, so I just looked it up. Apparently, Hamole Olakwatu won't be part of the squad. He's pulled out due to his partner giving birth. Not that he was going to be in the main squad. And then Mitchy Moses got placed on report for a high tackle in that game just now. So yeah, hopefully he's not suspended.
Well,
As a Blues fan, but and a Parramatta fan. But yeah, besides that, Fermor was an interesting one. What do you think about? What are your thoughts about that? Like, as a non-owner, I was disgusted because everyone gets him now for round 16 or round 15.
yeah, as a Queensland fan, passionate Queensland fan, passionate Broncos fan, I think it's absolutely ridiculous that he's been dropped. He was not used properly at all in game one from a football point of view, and to drop him is absolutely ridiculous. Um, and yeah, just having a quick say on that too. Birdo, 18th man. So team list has been out. Burton, 18th man. Thank goodness I didn't bring him in. Um, yeah, Queensland side dropping DC for game two. Again, it's pretty hard to get into on a fantasy perspective, but I think as a football point of view, I don't think he should have done it for game two. I think it's just going to create a lot of head noise. The fact Corey Horsburgh is not on the side, the fact Jai Arrow's not on the side is, yeah, pretty ridiculous from my perspective. You need a bit of dog in the middle. You need a bit of you just need someone who's going to just die for the jersey. And is Mo Fotuaika going to do that? So yeah, New South Wales side has been pretty much the exact same side. A few people on report, whatnot. Birdo, 18th man, which is going to hurt a few teams.
Polo,
Um,
19th man.
yeah, Koloamatangi, he's not playing Origin this year. He should. He absolutely should, but he won't be. Laurie Daly, you know, Stefano
Well, he's 19th.
Ukamanu.
He's 19th man. So it means that if there's any injuries in the camp, he will come straight in. So I imagine if like Payne Haas or if yeah, any forward has any niggle or anything and they're withdrawn, he'll come straight in. So fingers crossed he doesn't, and fingers crossed he doesn't come in for round 18 as well. Because I think I think it was never going to be too much of a stress for this round because we knew Stefano was probably coming straight in. But for 18, if he was named in the extended squad between now and it's not like Mitch Barnett's coming back for round 18. So if there's another injury in the meantime, then we'll be another man down for that round. So just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, thankfully he will play next week, and he's all of our captains for next week. Him or JC probably, right? It's one thing we didn't really touch on is captaincy. We got the Zoom calls about to run out. You know, unfortunately, I can't really buy the extended. You know, however long you want. So chances are we all captain Keon Koloamatangi next week. What do you think, mate? Quickly.
Yeah, no, I think he's the pretty obvious safe play as long as he's not called into the blue squad like randomly last minute. But yeah, should be good.
Doesn't do a Jimmy Tedesco and yeah, just comes in randomly when you've already locked him as captain. That was just so awesome last year around 13. Let's forget about that, eh? Bringing Tedesco in for a
Especially when you trade him in that week and then you can't reverse the
yep,
trade.
especially when you bring him in that week, you put the captaincy on him and you're sitting about 50th. That's yeah, very, very, and then you bring Joey Manu in at 760K because you want to hold your rank. That's where we'll end it. Don't want to live in the past, even though that was my glory days. So Thanks, Matty T, for jumping on. Jamie making a little cameo. How's that? Making a cameo on your own channel, eh? Love that. What a good bloke. You'll hear from him tomorrow or tonight, whenever he uploads. Who knows? Remember, leave all your comments in the comments section. You know, me and Matty T will jump on. Jamie might have a laugh at a few of them. Who knows? Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We might both see you next week. Maybe just me. See if I can keep the spot, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys.